Welcome to Fix It Home Improvement, covering projects that every homeowner should know and great products for home and garden.
Hi, I'm JC, and this is where we share weekly home improvement tips. I'm here with my co-host, Cindy.
Hello, JC.
Hi, Cindy. This week we're going to be talking about toilet flange repair, and Cindy suggested this episode. We'd like to thank Alexa for liking and sharing the podcast. When you're looking at products to repair a damaged toilet flange, some companies will use the term closet flange rather than toilet flange, or closet bolts rather than toilet bolts. The word closet is an old term referring to toilets. A water closet was a small room with a toilet, and in plumbing, WC stands for water closet.
What is a toilet flange?
It's a pipe fitting that's connected to the main drain pipe below the toilet. The top is circular with about a 7-inch diameter, and it has at least 2 slots for toilet bolts to hold the toilet to the floor, and then there's going to be holes to screw the flange to a wood subfloor or concrete slab so it's stable when you tighten down the toilet.
How big is the drain pipe?
The main drain will be a 3-inch or 4-inch pipe, and drain pipe is identified or labeled by its nominal dimension, which is roughly the inside diameter of the pipe.
What does nominal dimension mean?
So nominal means in name only. If it's a 3-inch pipe, the inside diameter is close to 3 inches. Like a 3-inch Schedule 40 PVC pipe has an inside diameter of around 3.042 inches, and it's just easier to call it a 3-inch pipe.
So like when anyone asks you how tall you are and you say 5'10", 6 foot?
Yes, my nominal size is 6 feet tall.
But you're not. My dad was 6 feet tall.
What's your nominal height?
My actual height is 5'2.5".
So your nominal height is 5 feet?
No, my nominal height would be like 5'5".
And it's the same with wood sizes. They're nominal. So a 1x4 is actually 3/4 of an inch by 3.5 inches, and a 2x4 is actually 1.5 inches by 3.5 inches.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Are toilet flanges different sizes?
The bottom of the flange is going to vary depending on the size, if it's going over or inside a 3-inch or 4-inch pipe, but the top is pretty uniform with an outside diameter of about 7 inches, and the toilet bolt slots are spaced to match the holes on the bowl of a toilet.
Okay. How does a toilet flange work?
A wax ring or wax-free toilet gasket seals against the bottom of the toilet, and for most gaskets, it seals against the top of the toilet flange to create a watertight, airtight connection to prevent a leak below the toilet and to prevent sewer gas and odors from getting into your home. The slots that hold the toilet bolts have a wider area for the large head of a toilet bolt to pass through, and the rest of the slot is the width of the bolt, so it's locked under the flange. Once the bolts are slid into position and you put a toilet gasket down, the toilet is set over the flange so the bolts go through the holes in the bowl. Then the toilet is tightened down to the floor with nuts.
How does a toilet flange break?
If you have loose bolts or an uneven floor and the toilet rocks, it can damage a PVC flange where it holds the bolts, and metal flanges corrode and break apart over time.
Okay. How do you know if the toilet flange is broken?
If your toilet moves when you sit down on it and you can't tighten the bolts, or one bolt won't tighten, the slot that holds the bolt is probably damaged. If there's water around the base of the toilet or on the ceiling below the toilet, it could be a broken toilet flange. And when you replace a toilet gasket, you'll be able to see if the flange is in good shape. And we have the steps for removing and replacing a toilet gasket in our episode called Toilet Gaskets.
Another great title. What is the difference between a standard toilet flange and a repair flange?
A standard toilet flange attaches to the drain pipe under the toilet. For a PVC drain pipe, for example, the toilet flange would be PVC, and PVC cement is used to fuse the parts together, then would be screwed to the subfloor or slab.
Okay.
A repair flange sets above the broken flange, under it, or it can replace the metal ring on a PVC flange. If you remove the old toilet flange, there are retrofit repair flanges with a tailpiece, and they have a gasket that will fit either inside the drain pipe or over the pipe.
Okay. How do you know if you should replace a toilet flange or just use a repair flange?
It depends on the type of flange and how it's connected to the drain pipe. If the old flange is securely fastened to the drain pipe, it's usually easier to use a repair flange, especially if you don't have a lot of experience with plumbing projects. But if the existing flange is higher than the floor and it won't allow the toilet to set flush to the floor, you should remove the old flange and put on a new flange so it sets on top of the flooring. Or if the flange is loose or easily removed, a new flange or retrofit flange can be installed pretty easy.
All right. What are the different types of repair flanges?
Solid circular, two-part circular with screws that hold it together, partial circle, repair flanges with a toilet gasket, and repair flanges with a tailpiece. Solid circular repair flanges come in plastic or metal, and the ring sets over the existing damaged flange. You would run a bead of silicone between the old flange and the ring to make a watertight, airtight connection, and then you screw the ring to the subfloor or slab. It'll have screw holes to line up to the holes on the old flange, or you'd have to drill through the old flange to secure the ring with screws.
All right. In a lot of directions, it states to run a bead of silicone.
Right.
What does that mean? Like, how much is a bead?
Okay.
And does it have to be 100% silicone, or can it be caulk?
Odie recommends 100% silicone for a flexible, watertight, airtight, long-lasting seal. And you want a bead that's at least a half an inch in diameter or about the size of your little finger. But follow the installation instructions on the flange that you're using.
Okay. Back to the types of repair flanges.
Solid circular plastic repair flanges I've seen are either for 3-inch or 4-inch pipe. So the inside diameter is around 3.5 inches or 4.5 inches, and they're usually about a half-inch thick. So this type of repair flange is better for an old flange that's below or even with the surface of the flooring. Many plumbers recommend that the top of the toilet flange is a 1/4 inch above the flooring. Circular metal repair rings are thin, so they're great for over an old flange that's even or above the flooring. If the original toilet flange is below the flooring, there are toilet flange spacer kits to bring the height up even with or above the flooring, so you can use a thin metal repair ring. Two-part circular repair flanges can go over or under a damaged flange. The partial circle repair rings are for fixing one broken bolt slot. Repair flanges with a gasket have a metal ring that sits above the damaged flange, and the toilet gasket is part of the flange. That's kind of interesting. A repair flange with a tailpiece will go inside or over the drain pipe. So the tailpiece will either have a flexible gasket on the outside so it can be pushed into the pipe, or it's going to have a gasket on the inside of the tailpiece, and it will be clamped over the outside of the drain pipe.
All right. How do you install the repair flange?
For a plastic or metal full circle repair ring, you would remove the screws holding the old toilet flange in place and then clean the top of the old flange thoroughly.
Clean it how? And do you have to worry about debris falling into the drain pipe?
Yeah, it's a good idea to put an old towel into the drain pipe to prevent something from falling into the open drain and to stop sewer gas. And use a large towel so it doesn't fall into the pipe. If there was a wax ring on the flange, use a putty knife to remove as much wax as possible. A disposable plastic scraper is great for a project like this. And then use a rag or a sponge with a cleaner.
Like what type of cleaner?
A good bathroom or an all-purpose cleaner. Lysol and Clorox make some top-rated bathroom cleaners.
Okay. Back to installing the repair flange.
You want to line up the repair ring over the old flange so the bolt slots and the anchor holes line up. Some repair flanges will have 2 marks, so you can measure from the back wall so it's lined up properly. You want to be able to slide the toilet bolt into the large area of the slot and move the bolt almost to the end of the slot for a solid grip when you tighten down the nuts for the toilet. Both bolts need to be the same distance from the back wall.
Okay.
Hold the repair ring over the old flange to see if you can slide the bolts in place. If not, you'll have to slide the bolt into the undamaged slot if you have one first, then put the ring on. Check that the anchor holes line up. If not, you're going to have to drill pilot holes that will pass through the ring and the old flange so you can screw them both into the subfloor or slab. Once you know where the ring will be positioned, put a bead of silicone over the old flange and set the repair ring on top. Use rust-proof screws to anchor the ring to the subfloor or a concrete slab, but review the installation instructions for the product that you're using.
Right.
Circular two-part metal repair rings have two screws that hold the two halves together. Some rings will have elongated slots for the screws, so the width and the hole placement can be slightly adjusted. The metal ring goes over or under the broken toilet flange, and then you would line up the anchor hole so it can be screwed in place. Another type of two-piece repair ring replaces a corroded metal flange on a PVC toilet flange.
What is this type of flange?
It's a popular toilet flange. The body of the flange is PVC, but the ring with the bolt and anchor holes is metal, and it fits into a slot in the PVC. So if the metal on this style flange is corroded and not holding your toilet bolts, you can remove it from the PVC and use a two-piece repair ring called the clam flange, and it's CLAM. This ring is made out of stainless steel and it has two screws. You remove one screw and put the ring around the top of the PVC. The clam flange has a lip that inserts into the groove around the PVC. Once you position it and it's in place for your toilet bolts, you would tighten down the two screws and then screw it to the subfloor or slab.
Okay.
A partial circle repair flange repairs one bolt slot. You would remove the screws next to the broken slot, put the repair flange over or under the damaged area, and screw it down through the holes in the old flange. Or you would drill pilot holes through the old flange so you can anchor the repair flange to the subfloor or the slab. The one-and-done toilet repair flange is a circular metal ring with an integrated non-wax toilet gasket. And this will work with an existing toilet flange that is up to 1/8 of an inch above the floor down to 1.5 inches below the floor. So you would just anchor this to the existing toilet flange and set your toilet right on top of it. You don't need to add a wax ring or non-wax gasket. The Danko Hydro Seat Repair Flange is a stainless steel ring that sets on a wax ring. This flange has 4 raised tabs that are screwed to the floor. There's a rubber gasket connected to the ring that sets on a wax ring. The rubber gasket seals to the bottom of the toilet, and the wax seals against the old toilet flange. So with this, you would put a wax ring down first on the old toilet gasket, and then set this on top of it and anchor it to the floor.
Okay.
If you have a broken toilet flange that's been removed, you can use a retrofit repair flange. This is a toilet flange with a tailpiece, and 3 popular styles go inside the drain pipe. One style has a ribbed rubber gasket that seals on the inside of the drain pipe, so you just push it into the pipe and then screw it down to the subfloor or slab. Another style has a tapered threaded tailpiece with a rubber gasket that sets on the outside of the tailpiece. As the gasket is tightened and it moves up, it spreads out to seal against the inside of the drain pipe. So you would push this into the pipe and twist the top until it's tight, and then you would screw it in place. Another style has a 2-part tailpiece with a rubber gasket in between the parts. There are bolts holding the sections together. You put this into the drain pipe, tighten the bolts, and the gasket spreads out to seal inside the drain pipe. Then you would screw it in place.
Okay.
There are also repair flanges that go over the pipe, and they have clamps or sections that tighten down a gasket on the outside of the drain pipe. And there's usually 3 or 4 screws that you would have to tighten down.
Okay. How would you remove a damaged toilet flange?
For a PVC toilet flange that's above the flooring, you can cut through the pipe or the flange so the pipe is flush with the flooring. Then you would install a new flange or a repair flange. A reciprocating saw with a long, flush-cut blade or a pull saw will flex, so you can get a flush cut.
Okay.
If the flange is PVC and it's flush or lower than the floor, you can use a toilet flange reamer. This is a circular cutting tool that connects to a drill. You insert it into the flange and it cuts it out, which is pretty cool. And you would match the reamer to the drain pipe size, so either 3-inch or 4-inch.
Okay.
2 top-rated companies with toilet flange reamers are Reed and Jones Stevens. Reed is R-E-E-D. Jones Stevens is Jones, capital S-T-E-P-H-E-N-S. If you have an old home and you have a cast iron drain pipe and a cast iron toilet flange, the toilet flange has a tailpiece that's wider than the pipe. The space between the flange and the pipe is first filled with oakum, which is pushed down to leave a space so you can pour melted lead to join the pieces together.
This sounds safe.
Yeah, it's interesting how they used to join plumbing parts together. So if the old flange is above the flooring and you want to remove it, you can use a drill and a bit that's smaller than the space between the flange and the drain pipe. And it's usually about a 1/4-inch bit that works for this.
Okay.
You would drill a series of holes into the lead and then use an old slotted screwdriver or a thin chisel to start prying out the lead. When you get a section up, you can grab it with a pair of pliers and pull out what you can and just keep doing this. And then once the lead is out, you need to pry out the oakum so that you can pull out the flange. And then you can cut down the cast iron pipe with a reciprocating saw and a diamond blade that's made to cut through cast iron.
Okay. What is oakum?
It's a fiber that used to be made from marine ropes to pack into plumbing joints so lead could be poured over it. And whenever you're working with lead, wear protective clothing that you can wash separately or wear disposable coveralls. Wear goggles, gloves, and a P100 respirator, either a disposable one or a half mask with replaceable filters.
Mm-hmm.
Even small amounts of lead dust is dangerous to kids or pregnant women.
Okay.
Also, old oakum can contain asbestos. Asbestos is a mineral in rocks and soil, and old asbestos products can release microscopic fibers that can float in the air and be inhaled. The American Lung Association says inhaling asbestos fibers can increase your risk of lung cancer and lung disease. The National Asbestos Helpline says lung damage can occur even after low levels of exposure. There is no safe level. So if you do want to remove an old toilet flange that was held in place with lead and oakum, wear protective gear and a P100 respirator.
Right.
You can also block off the bathroom doorway with plastic and painter's tape, or use a dust barrier system like Zipwall or Reusip. And Zipwall is Z-I-P, capital W-A-L-L. Reusip is R-E-U-Z-I-P. And these are plastic dust barriers with an entry slot that seals when you're working.
Right. What are some top-rated repair flange companies?
Odie, it's O-A-T-E-Y. Danco, it's D-A-N-C-O. Superior Tool. 3D Plumbing Products, and that's the number 3, the letter D, and then Plumbing Products. One and Done, it's O-N-E-N-D-O-N-E. The Clam Flange. Sioux Chief, it's S-I-O-U-X, capital C-H-I-E-F, and Jones Stevens.
Do you have anything else to add?
For most of the projects I've done over the years in old homes in the Chicago area, I used a solid circular repair ring or a 2-piece circular repair ring, and they were easy to install and solved the toilet problems, which is either a wobbly toilet or a leaking toilet with a broken toilet flange.
Okay.
And I want to thank you for podcasting with me today because you've been
I sound great.
You've been pretty sick the last couple of weeks. So thank you for podcasting.
Thank you for forcing me to do it. Let's wrap this up.
You can subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast app.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a review.
You can check out our home improvement videos on our YouTube channel, Fix It Home Improvement.
And you can subscribe to that as well.
You can download our ebooks, Home Improvement Solutions, What Every Homeowner Should Know, books 1 through 18 on Amazon.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a 5-star rating and review.
You can email us at fixitpodcast@gmail.com, and you can follow us on Instagram, Fixit Home Improvement.
Thank you for listening.
Talk to you next week.